So thank you everybody to be here with us. So like reminding to everyone, please to introduce yourself on the chat, put your name and the organization. And before we begin, we have interpretation available for you. So we gonna pass on Juanita that she's gonna share the instruction for the interpretation. Go ahead, Juanita. Gracias, Juanita. Thank you, Juanita. Yes, so everybody, if you need interpretation, please select in the small little world. If you are using the computer, and select the best language. If you are using the phone, you will see the little three dots on the bottom of the phone, and you can choose there the language that you decide the best describe your selection. So, ¿verdad? Igual, buenas tardes a todos. Por favor, si están usando su computadora, al fondo de la computadora usted va a ver el mundito pequeño y usted puede seleccionar ahí, ¿verdad? Su interpretación en inglés o español. También si usa su teléfono, al final del teléfono están los tres puntitos y usted puede seleccionar inglés o español. Thank you, everyone. So for the ones that they don't know me, so my name is Sonia Hernandez, and I am the community organizers from Make the Road, Connecticut. And today we are here part of the coalition of health equally for the people, by the people. So we are giving this opportunity working with coalition as Make that Road Connecticut, together with Connecticut Student for a Dream, Ministerial Health Fellowship, and Health Equality Solution. We make that coalition together to work with health equally for the people, by the people. We are so excited that you are here and join us with us. So as a coalition of Connecticut-based organizations, we work together to make healthcare more affordable by organizing Black, Brown, and immigrant communities to fight to expand healthcare by increasing medical income eligibility and including all citizens, regardless of immigration status. In the chat, my partner Don will put who we are as a coalition. And if you want to learn more about what we are doing, and you are welcome, ¿verdad, to this meeting. And we are thank you that you joined to this workshop tonight as Advocacy 101. This is the third workshop is that we are helping to the community to learn more together. As the series, we are going to continue providing more tools to prepare us to have more affordable healthcare campaign for 2021 at the same at the level of the legislation for below. We are inviting you to attend to our upcoming workshop. The next workshop we're going to have is writing a letter or storytelling. For you can learn how you can write a letter to our labor relations representative and how you can share your story. And then our last workshop will be mock public hearing workshop, and the links for you can register to these future workshops will be on the chat. Also, we want to hear from you, so are we gonna post a evaluation for you can share with us how we can improve this workshop and help you how you help you to navigate in the system of healthcare. um, and we hope that you can complete these surveys, and we're going to give a couple of minutes at the end of the session. So please also share this link with friends, families, allies, and your network, for we can have more community members to educate in how to advocacy for issues that impact our community. We're gonna share all these link on the chat. Um, Also, we're gonna have the opportunity to ask questions. We love to you to raise your hands, or you can post it on the chat. Um, so thank you everyone to be here. So now I will introduce um, our person that is gonna help us.
Excuse me, Sonia, I apologize. Can you please, we put a pre-evaluation, pre-workshop evaluation in the chat. We'd like everyone just to take a moment to complete that evaluation. Thank you.
Yes, okay. Yes, so we're gonna give you a few minutes, please, if you can complete that survey, and then we're gonna begin to with our workshop. So we're gonna give like 2 minutes or three for you can do the pre-evaluation. If you cannot open or you cannot have access to the link, please let us know. And if you having trouble with the interpretation, also let us know. We want everybody to feel comfortable and to enjoy this workshop. Don, if you can put it back on the chat. We have one of the person that she lost the internet, she couldn't get access to. Thank you. To remind that while you are filling up the pre-survey, the evaluation, please, if you can put your name and the organization that invite you to this workshop on the chat, that will be great. So thank you everyone to fill it up the pre-survey, and also we share on the chat all the link for the future workshop that we're gonna have. And then so hope that everyone has the time to um, do the pre-evaluation. If not, you can still have time. So but to mindful of time, we're going to begin to our workshop like that we can have enough time for questions. So now I would like to introduce Aisha Clerk. um, so she is the Deputy Director of Health Equity Solution, and she will lead us on the advocacy training today. So welcome, Aisha.
Thank you so much, Sonia. And good evening, everyone. Just want to take the time to thank you all for joining us this evening. And as I'm getting my screen situated, I want to ensure that everyone has the ability to see it. And we are going to get started. Okay. So as Sonia stated, my name is Aisha Clark, and at Health Equity Solutions, just want to highlight one of our visions is for that every Connecticut resident is to obtain optimal health. And this is regardless of your race, ethnicity, socioeconomic status. It's really our vision that individuals obtain that optimal health. And we do this through our mission, which is to promote policies, programs, and practices that result in equitable healthcare access, delivery, and outcomes for all people in Connecticut. And so I just wanted to read that verbatim on the work that Health Equity Solutions does. And I'm actually going to talk a little slower than I normally do, just so that we can ensure that interpretation is done correctly. So advocacy. We are all here to learn about advocacy, what we can do, how does it work, and so we're going to dive right in. But I want to talk to you all to let you know that this is an interactive workshop, so I would love to see in the chat, what does advocacy mean to you? So if you can go ahead and put in the chat, what does advocacy mean to you? So I see expression of voices for any cause that can be heard, speaking up for yourself and others for change. I also see someone saying engaging with the public and elected officials over policy issues that are important to me and my organization. Great. So these are all great answers. And for us, we define the definition of advocacy according to the Webster Dictionary is that it's the act or process of supporting a cause or proposal, the act or something or process of advocating for something. And so all that means, in other words, is that advocacy is making your voice heard. So someone said that right in the chat, making my voice heard. And this can happen collectively, meaning individually by yourself, or it could be something that you're doing collectively. That's where you're working with someone else in another organization to get this done. And this is really about issues that are important to you. If you're going to advocate, it's important to ensure that that issue is important to you. So when it comes to advocacy, it can take on many forms, but some of the things that we need to make sure that we keep at our forefront of our mind is that it should have these 6 components: the what, the who, where, how, when, and why. These are the components to ensure that your advocacy work makes sense, that you are able to obtain the results that you're looking for. And again, it's not always going to work the first time, but these are the qualities that we're stating that can help and assist that. So we'll start off with the what. That is naming the issue. What is it that you're trying to advocate about? What is the problem that you're trying to solve? What is the issue that's most important to you? And so there are different issues throughout our world that affect us as it relates to health. It could be education. It could be food access. It could be issues within your job. Advocacy can happen right in your job. It can be changes that you would like to see in your local churches. It could be changes at your local level officials. So that you have to define what your what is. What is the issue? What is the problem? And name it. So for an example, with Health Equity Solutions, our what is removing barriers that prevent access to health care. and results in optimal health outcome for each individual, regardless of racial or ethnic differences, socioeconomic background. And this drives right to our mission of what I stated in the beginning. So as you're thinking about advocacy, it's important to really name that issue. So in the chat while I'm talking, I would love to see some of the issues that you believe are important for you, and name that issue or the problem that you're looking to solve. There are many different ways and opportunities where it comes from prescription usage, the amount that it's being charged, the idea of immigrants and refugees. That issue is something that's important to individuals. This idea about the environment, how that can be changed, shifted, global warming, those are issues and policy, public health issues that many people advocate for on a daily basis. I love to see in the chat, I see food insecurity and access to health services. Those are public health issues and ways that we can use our advocacy to make a change. Then we have the who. This is important to have. Who are you advocating for? So we have a what, the issue, the problem, the statement, something that we're trying to solve, but then the who. Who is going to benefit from the results of our advocacy? It connects to the problem that we're trying to solve. Who does this problem affect the most? And how will they be impacted? So if we make a change, will it benefit them? Will it hurt them? Will it hinder them? And those who it will not impact, how does that work on them? So it's important to know the who. Along with the who, it's who is doing the advocating, meaning who is helping to support the work that you're doing? Who are the individuals, organizations, coalitions, community workers, for the people, by the people? Who are the ones that are out there that you can garnish and talk with in order to get your advocacy work done? I love in the chat, someone put everyone. Everyone can be the person who can support this. But we also know that there are times where everyone will not be for you. And so that's another part of the who. Who's against you? It's important to know who is against the work that you're looking to change. So if we're advocating for global warming, environmental health changes, health security, and also even things that health equity is looking at where it comes to systematic changes in our healthcare, who's against those? Are there politicians, pharmaceutical companies? Are there big industries, big cities? There are so many individuals or organizations that can be against the work that we're trying to do as it relates to advocacy. So it's important to know who's against you. So within the who, there are 3 steps. Who is this impacting? Who are you doing it for? Who is supporting the work? And who is against you? Next, we have the where. Where is this advocacy taking place? At what level does this advocacy start with? Are you looking to make a national change? And so are we doing advocacy work at the national level with the president and the Congress? Is it at the state level where we're looking to make systematic changes at the state level, right here in the state of Connecticut? Are we looking to make those changes? Or is it in your local towns? Is it in the city of Hartford, in New Haven, Bridgeport? Where are you looking to do those changes? And it's important to make sure that when you're advocating that you're hitting those places at the right time. So if you're looking to do a local change in your city, you're not going to go to the national level to make that change. You have the ability to advocate right there in your local towns, community, and you can also do that with your family and friends and educating them. So it's important as you're looking at the who and the what to understand where that where is also. The how. How do I advocate? I would love to see in the chat, what are some ways that you feel that you can advocate? And I'll give you a moment to put some answers there. Remember, I said this is going to be interactive. I see in the chat someone said that the where is in Fairfield County areas such as Bridgeport and South Norwalk. Great. Identifying that where that's at the local level. So the how do I advocate? Getting others involved, great. I see that in the chat. Hearing what others have to say, that's very important. Hearing if that will help with the who's for you and who's against you. And then also letting people know how they can be a part. Great, thank you. Thank you for in the chat for the different ways on how you can advocate. So to elaborate on what's put in the chat, there are many different ways that we can get out and advocate. We can testify and tell your story, and to put a plug on the new other training that's coming next, making sure you're learning how to tell your story and testify. You can do letters to your editor about what's going on, what you're concerned about, the pros and the cons. You can hold a town hall meeting to discuss those things. You can make appointments to talk to your legislators at the state level. You can make appointments to talk to your local town councilmen, aldermen. Those are all different ways that you can advocate. And it's important for you to discuss what that issue is. What is that what? And how can people get involved in what you're doing? So remember, when you're addressing the how do I advocate, it's important to determine the issue. Make sure that you have that issue spelled out, understood, so that when you are getting individuals in line to advocate with you, and or when you're going to have a public forum or one-on-one session with your legislators, that they understand what the issue is and lay out the goals. What are you trying to accomplish? Why is this important? And what is that change that we're looking to see? And how does it affect the community? How does it affect the area? Those are issues and statements or goals that are important to put in on how do I advocate. It's also important to build a coalition, just like the coalition that's hosting this workshop right now. Building a coalition will allow you to garnish, to leverage those individuals who are passionate about the same thing that you are passionate about. And having the support system that will be able to go to the state capitol and testify, or go to the local city council meetings and advocate for a change. It also provides resources to support the efforts. It's also important to look at or research other organizations or partners who are doing the same work, because you are able to then tap into some of the resources that they have and not start from the beginning. So there are different ways that we can go out and advocate. And it's important to understand that there are issues. Make sure you have that issue, as I stated, and make sure you lay out those goals when you're going out and advocating. The when. When do I go out? When is the right time? Some people will say it's always the right time. It doesn't matter. But it is important to think about when you're looking for state changes and state advocacy, or even your local advocacy, to know when the timing is right. I love someone said election time. That is important as well. We know that elections are coming up, and so we're looking to elect individuals that represent who we are, what we want to do, and the issues that we'd like to see have solved. It's also important to understand the timing when it relates to when individuals are in office. And if we're wanting to do, let's just pick an issue of food insecurity, and we want to talk about that at the state level. It's important to know when the legislative session starts so that you can get individuals together to contact their legislators. You get individuals together to go up and testify, or you also can just get individuals to come together to have a public forum or rally. So it's very, very important when you are looking to advocate and do some advocacy work to make sure that the timing is right. City council or local townsmen, they meet all year round. So they have meetings all year round. So you're able to go in and use the public comment section to testify regarding issues that are concerning you within your city or your local towns. And so you can go in, make sure you're looking, go on to the website of your local towns, and they have to post the timing of their meetings, and you'll have an opportunity to go out and do that. And so it's important to know the when so that you can rally the troops together in order to advocate for the change that you're looking for. Why? Why should I do all of this? Why should I advocate? Why is this important? This is important because if we don't bring up what is important and valuable to us, then no one would know. Advocacy, someone stated in the beginning of the chat, and I loved it. It provides a voice. It allows individuals to speak up on things that they are proud of, things that they are passionate about, and also to talk about some of the barriers that they see within their community. If the community doesn't speak up about the things that concerns them, then it'll be very difficult for anyone who does not understand the community, whether it's a politician, whether it's a big pharmaceutical company, or those at the national level, to understand what is happening and how they can support. It is that of your own knowledge within your community that you are able to influence and help support some of the policymakers to change their mind. And so the why should I do this is always predicated that you have the power to do that. And also, advocacy is essential to holding policymakers accountable. When it's election time and you're going out and you are voting who should be in power, whether it's at the state, national, or local level, when you are out doing advocacy work and advocating for what you believe in, you're able to hold them accountable. You're able to say, hey, you stated that you will help support in this issue. And so now I'm going to continue to write, call, provide information so that I can see a change within the community that I live in. So now that there are things of the who, what, when, and why, and also how, what do I do? How do I get involved? There are many different ways that you can get involved. And as I stated, one of the first things is going out and registering to vote, making sure you vote so that you can hold those policymakers accountable. You can request meetings with your legislators. That means having the time to take in the moment to look up who your legislators are. If you do not have access to the internet, you're able to make a phone call and they will let you know who your legislators are. You're able to introduce yourself every time that you meet someone new. Tell them what you're passionate about. See what their interests are. You're able to tell your story. Tell about why you're passionate. What's your why? What is the issue? Storytelling is important of how you, storytelling is a mechanism to get you involved in doing your advocacy work. If you are part of a coalition, maybe there's a fact sheet that they've already created. You're able to use that fact sheet to talk about the work, talk about advocacy, talk about how you can get involved. It's important to use that where you can give it to an individual and they'll be able to take the time to review that in their own leisure. Know your opposition's argument. As I said, the who. You want to know who's this going to affect, who's on your side, and also who's against you. So if you know your opposition's argument, so those who are against you argument, then you'll be able to better position yourself when individuals are coming to you and asking questions. What else could you do? Explain why you care. This is a part of telling your story. Why should a person care about what you're interested in if you're unable to explain why you care? So have that why and get involved in that way. Ask if they have questions and listen. Someone put that in chat of how you can do some work. Ask questions, but also make sure you listen, because with that listening, you're able to decipher what are some of the concerns that that individual might have, and you'll be able to address them and answer their questions so that they can potentially support the work that you are doing. Be honest with an individual. If you don't have the answers, get back to them. Don't make anything up. Do not be passive about it, but making sure that you're honest with them and state that you'll get back and follow up. So with advocacy work, it's important to be honest, but it's also important to do follow-up work. Always, always, always say thank you. I know it goes without saying, but when people feel that they are appreciated for the work or taking the time out to speak with you, it's important to always thank them and write a follow-up note, whether it's via email, whether it's a handwritten note, whether it's just even talking to them to just say, I really appreciated your time. This helps to show that you care not just about your time, but you also care about their time. It's also with the what. Don't speak negatively or harshly. I know that's hard. It's very, very difficult when you're passionate and you want to go out and advocate for issues, that you don't want to not be the person who's passionate about your work. But when you are negative or harshly speaking, it's difficult for people to really hear what you're talking about or what you're advocating for. So if we are able to take the spin and hear and listen and change the tone from being negative or harsh and make it positive, then we're able to then look at ourselves and look at the people that we're speaking with and most likely get a better result. Writing testimonies on important issues. A testimony, for individuals who might not know what a testimony is, this is writing about why you're passionate about doing what you're doing. It's also a part of telling your story. You can do this orally, you can do this written. And now that, for our past legislative session, you were able to do this virtually as well. And so there are many different ways that we can get out and advocate. Join a coalition or establish a coalition. You might be able to join a coalition just like the ones that are putting on this workshop today. Or if you find that there is no coalition that's doing the work that you're passionate about, you can create one. This is your ability to stand up for what you believe in and find others who have the same interests. No matter which way, how you want to advocate, it's important to speak up and advocate for health equity. So some other suggestions on how you can make your voice heard is for suggest ideas. So what this means is that there might be policies in place, legislation in place, or changes in government that you might have ideas for. So laws or bills or anything that's come into place, suggest new ideas. You have the power. Your voice is powerful to suggest those to those lawmakers. And so you are able to speak up. I know sometimes it can be intimidating. I know sometimes it can feel as if they're not going to listen, but your voice is very powerful. And so you have that ability. As I said before, testify on the bills. So if you see, and this is more for the state legislation, if you find that there are bills that you do not agree with or that you do agree with, attend the public hearings and testify. This is a time where your voice can be heard. Your voice can be that sounding block to change a decision that someone has, or can also kill the bill altogether. And what that means is that the bill will not move forward. Contact your own state senator and representative. And I emphasize the word own. When individuals find that you are the person that put them in office and are supporting their work, they're more apt to listen to you. And so it's important to contact your own. Doesn't mean you can't contact others, but contact your own and let them know how you feel and where you stand. There is another part of advocacy called lobbying. And this is a space where you can organize others to lobby. And this is having like a lobbying organization, or if you're registered as a lobbyist, where you can really talk to the legislative leadership about some of the changes that can happen. Another way that you can make your voice heard is being able to get individuals to collectively come together. This is through media, this can be through rallies, this can be through a campaign that's being developed, making sure that you're garnishing support from other individuals so that you can make your presence known when it comes to advocating for something that you want to see. Lastly, another way that you can have your voice heard is submit comments on proposed regulations or suggest changes to them. This means at the local level, there are regulations, resolutions, Also at the state level of policies that are there, submit comments. You have that voice, you have that right to say, hey, I don't like what you're putting here. This doesn't make sense here. You have that voice and you have that ability to speak up and submit some of those comments and changes. Now that you know what to do, I encourage you to become familiar with the Connecticut General Assembly website. This website, it looks very similar to this right here. The only difference is that they have changes on the dates. And on this website, you will find different committees, you will find the legislators, you will find what they supported, you will find what they did not support. You will also find who are the chairs of committees, when they'll have meetings, when there will be public hearing. This website is very important if you're looking to do state changes or state advocacy work. So I encourage everyone to take the time and spend some time going through this website and also becoming familiar with who your representatives are. Who are the individuals that have been elected into office to represent you? And now I will open it up for questions and make sure that Juanita can interpret for any questions that you might have. And while we're waiting for questions, I would love to see in the chat, what are some ways that you will get out and advocate for what you believe in? And I'll tell them myself, one of the ways that I will be going out and advocating for what I believe in is I plan on the new legislative session to go and schedule some meetings with some legislators about education reform and also some public health issues that I'm passionate about. So I'll tell them myself.
So I know that Aisha shared with us a lot of information, and some of us, we have experience doing advocacy, but many of you that start beginning. So this is the moment to ask questions and learn together how we can do more advocacy or how we can begin advocacy for issues that are impacting our community.
And it looks like Helen has her hand raised. Helen, you want to unmute yourself?
Yeah. Hola, muy buenas noches. Gracias por compartir la información con nosotros. Y ha sido mucha información. Primero quisiera saber si es posible que tengamos, por lo menos personalmente, copia de cada uno de la información que se ha dicho ahora, por escrito, algún documento o algo así, de todos los flyers que compartió en este momento, primero. Y segundo, ¿cómo podríamos o cuál sería la mejor opción si nosotros solicitamos una reunión con algún legislador o alguna cosa y se nos da vuelta o se nos niega, nos dicen hoy sí, mañana no, o llega el día de la reunión y nos cancelan y nos mandan una secretaria, cualquier otra persona, menos la persona indicada con la que queremos hablar del tópico, del tema indicado? So, ¿cuál sería la mejor opción o la mejor acción que deberíamos tomar en aras a que nuestra voz sea realmente escuchada por la persona con la que queremos hablar? Gracias.
Thank you so much for that question, Helen. So for the first part of your question, I can provide some documentation for some of the things that I covered today. So I will talk to the coalition about that. And then to the second part of your question, you will, unfortunately, when it comes to advocacy, you will sometimes receive the runaround as it relates to meeting a legislative directly. Not always. So I don't want to preface that for all politicians or elected officials. But some of the things, some of the suggestions that I will state is continue to be consistent. So request a meeting consistently. If you have a meeting with the secretary, or maybe sometimes you have a meeting with their legislative aide is actually there in order to convey the messages that their constituents are talking about. And what that basically means is that they have a person, a liaison that's in place that's able to say, hey, and I'll use myself if I was a legislator, hey, Aisha Clark, your constituent Helen has an issue concerning food insecurity, and she would like to see this change, that change. You might actually have more communication with that aide than you have with the actual legislator. So don't feel that just because you're not speaking to the legislator itself, that they're not hearing what's happening. But my suggestion is that, as I stated, sometimes you have to build that coalition. So my suggestion is that you provide or build a community of individuals that are sending emails, writing letters, calling in to meet with that representative. And so if you get a few or a coalition of individuals to come together, then you might be able to have a group meeting with that legislator versus a one-on-one by yourself. So those are a few of my recommendations in order to get, if you want to have a sit down with that actual legislator. I also like to suggest that if you provide maybe a town hallway and inviting those legislators to come out and support that, and so that you are able to let them know some of the issues that you are concerned with. I always like to remind individuals that elected officials or appointed members, however they are, this is not their, at the national level, that's their primary, but if you're at the local and the state, that's not their full-time job. Those are part-time jobs. So they're balancing just like we're balancing. So it's important to continue to reach out and continue to think about different ways that you can get those individuals to come, like public forums, panel discussions, or even if you want to have like a legislative breakfast, those are different ways that you can get individuals to come out.
So Aisha, I wanted to, my name is Sylvia Cooper. I love advocacy work, been doing it for a long time. I've done advocacy work and I saw change, actually like change. And then there's also where you don't see change, but you see the movement in change. Like you're not gonna win every war, but it doesn't mean that you can't keep fighting the battle. My recent advocacy work is with New Haven Rising and the movement against Yale University, and you know, them paying their fair share of taxes, but they also do work now with violence. And so I find with this work is gun violence is on a federal, state, and local level. And so you have the opportunity to meet your local legislators and your state legislators. And then it's a crime is everywhere. And so you get the best of all three worlds, and finding a common ground for you to be heard on all the levels as it impacts your own town, because it's the same in other areas, it's the same in another state. And I find that, you know, we get more accomplished because it's a common goal, gun violence, on so many different levels. And we can get, you know, more people in our marches or around the table because it's the same goal. Crime is up in every town in Connecticut, not just Connecticut, across the United States. And so I'm finding that work more rewarding because we've marched, we have our bullhorns, you know, but it's you can go to another town and help them advocate for the same issue because it's the same, you know, problem. So that's my advocacy work now.
Thank you so much, Sylvia, for sharing. And I'm glad that you are finding a reward in that advocacy work. You made a valid point. with all advocacy, you're not going to get your resolution either right away or maybe never at all. And so thank you for pointing that out. I know I kind of skimmed over that in the beginning, but there are times I will give everyone a prime example. I used to advocate for I used to work for a supporter organization, called Clean Water Action. We were really advocating for clean water, right? And we also were advocating for toxins not to be in shower curtains and in toys for young people. It was causing damage to their lungs and all of these different things. We thought our cause was a great idea. We had the support on the local and state level, but we didn't get the bill passed. However, we got a small portion of that bill passed where we were able to take some toxins out of some of the small, and they're more like the dollar store toys that were causing young people to have asthma. And so I always say to anyone, celebrate the small wins and continue to push forward during your advocacy work and think about ways that you can do something differently. As Sylvia talked about with gun violence has been something that has been an issue for years. I've done also advocacy work and lobbying work for gun violence, but it has not always been at the forefront at the local, state, and federal level. So there have been individuals who have been doing this for years. And so I'm so happy, as she said, because I've been a part of it, that it's now reaching the magnitude of the local, state, and national level. It's sad that it has gotten to the point that our gun violence has increased tremendously. And I hate to use the word benefit, but the idea of having at the local and state and national level, as Sylvia brought up, it allows for you to transition and build a bigger coalition so that you can have a higher effective work. And so that's why I encourage any individuals, if you're going out and doing advocacy work, know who's the who. Because when you have that who, you can expand your work and it can go from a local to state to a national issue. I see a question in the chat from Ramon. What are some great ways to reach out to your legislators regarding issues we advocate for? Some of the great ways are phone calls. If you can get a personal number, that would be awesome. So phone calls, written letters to the office, emails, inviting them to be to a legislative breakfast, inviting them to any of events that are happening where you're highlighting the work. Those are the ways that you can get legislators to come to your events. And that can be at the local level with your town council individuals or your aldermans, even your board of ed. You can invite them to places, and those are ways that you can get them to come out to support some of your work and understand your advocacy.
I have a question. You mentioned that there are a variety of folks, you gave an example of that there are a variety of different organizations working on gun violence, for example. How is it better, in your opinion, for there to be multiple organizations working separately? Or is there a way to kind of bring or is it better to bring a bunch of organizations to work on that one piece of legislation or that one issue?
It's always better to have form a coalition. It's I don't want to say one is better than the other, but it's recommended that if you can build a coalition together that are going to push an agenda for something, and then we'll use what you just stated, the gun violence one, if you can build a coalition to do that work, then that means that our legislators are hearing it from different ends and different voices and different partners that are coming together to say, this is what we're advocating for. We saw that work in this past legislative session when we declared racism a public health crisis. We had multiple organizations, many towns that came together. We also had individuals who signed that said, this is something that we believe in. We believe that racism needs to be declared a public health crisis. And therefore, we were able to get that bill passed at the state level. And this was because we built a coalition.
Helen has a question, and I believe, if I understand it correctly, is what is the best way to establish a coalition?
Yes.
Great job, Don. So one of the best ways to establish a coalition is really, and that's the beginning of the what, so knowing what your issue is, and then the who. So being able to decipher the who you're trying to advocate for, and who is for and against you. So once you have those, then you'll be able to really hone into, all right, can we work together to build that coalition? And then ensuring that you might not necessarily have all of the paths together. So you might be an organization, you might be a person who's passionate about school, about health, and about the environment. And so a part of your work in the who, like who's with you, a part of your work is finding another organization or finding other individuals that might be passionate about one of the issues. And you can work together on that work on that issue together. So it doesn't mean that you're finding people or organizations who are exactly like you, but you're building a foundation if they're interested in the same topics that you are passionate about.
I think we have time for one more question.
Then we do have two comments on the chat. So one from Robin Anderson is the more, the better focus on the same issues. And I think Lori, she said, yes, we must be able to network. Each one of has different qualifications, like meant to people.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Having like-minded people, and this is where you find out the who, right? And so being able to find that who's supporting you and who it's affecting, that's when you establish who those like-minded individuals are. And for those who might not know what the term network with each other, that's really just talking to one another. Really, I joke and say having coffee with a person, I call it a coffee date, and you're able to really figure out what people are passionate about and building that coalition together.
I think that's it. We don't have no more questions and comments. Thank you, Aisha. That was really great information. And thank you, everyone, to join us in this workshop tonight. The advocacy, we hope that you has really great information. So this is our third workshop in our series. So we are providing tools to prepare us to future executive affordable healthcare campaign for the 2021 legislation session and below. We hope that you enjoy this workshop and appreciate the attending. So before you leave, we want you to hear from you. Please, if you can complete the evaluation of this workshop, so we can use your response to improve our incoming workshop. The link of the evaluation will be on the chat. As a reminder, we do have two more workshops in the series, so it will be letters, writing, a storytelling. Then we're gonna have mock public hearing workshop. So we're gonna share this link on the chat, so for you can join us. So the link at the same time of the coalition flyer is in the chat too, like that you can learn and more information about our coalition, the health equally for the people by the people. um, and Don will share all the slide there, and we're gonna have a last 3 minutes, please, if you can do the survey, like that we can have your how was your experience and how we can improve it for next time. And thank you everyone, and Juanita for the great interpretation, Aisha for the workshop, and Don to be hosting this workshop with the whole coalition and everyone to attend it. So let us know if you can get access to the evaluation before you leave. Please fill it up the survey, like that we can improve for next time. Thank you, Janet, and everyone else to join us tonight. And while we are doing the survey, Don will put some music. Maria Ramos said, thank you. Thank you, Maria, to complete the survey. So Don, if you can put the music that you have ready for us. Yes, thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone that is filling up the surveys and stay in tune with us. We appreciate your experience and sharing with us how we can improve for next time. Thank you, Juanita, too, for the great interpretation. And again, Aisha, that it was really helpful information. Gracias, Macaria.
Good night, everybody.
Yes, good night, everyone, and thank you for filling up the survey.